whenever we're. Okay, thank you. We are back on Tuesday, February 21st. This is the Senate Gov Ops Committee. We are joined right now by Senator Mazza, who is going to talk to us about a proposed charter change for the, is it the town of South Shore?
Yeah, I was approached Madam Chair, I was approached a few months ago. They had passed a local, a vote down, that local office tax. So I went to Tucker, didn't know a lot about it, and to have him draft something about it. And so he did, and that's the bill I have. And I don't know if you need more information about it or what's required. I chair of the select board, they had to vote. That's, I think we have to come to legislature. That's where I stand. I don't know any more than that. I can, if you need more questions answered, I can get them.
Do you, who is the chair of the select board? Because we probably want to have that.
David Carter.
David Carter.
Yes.
Okay. And do you happen to have his contact?
No, but I can get it for you tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll bring it to you tomorrow.
That would be great.
Yeah,
And we can.
You can get the details more.
Exactly.
Like I said, I just went to the draft person, draft the bill, but I don't want, that's all I know about it.
Okay, yeah, we would want to talk to him about the process and all the vote and all that
Rather
stuff.
than that, so I can bring you the phone number tomorrow.
Okay,
I'll give a heads up tonight.
excellent. That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Senator Mazza?
My questions for the chair of the select board, so no.
Okay.
Why did I feel that all charter changes had to start in the house?
Did you do, do they? No.
I don't know, that's a question, because I don't feel like we've ever started them here.
Yeah, that was my question. We looked,
Oh,
there's
maybe-
not a
maybe
House
you're
bill, I
right.
don't
I mean,
think.
I don't know, like I
And
said,
so-
this is one of my first bills, like, I don't introduce bills, as you know, but, they just.
I love it
they
when
just-
you
they just-
introduce bills.
I've known David Carter for years, and, he just called me and I said, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, right, sure.
So,
Well, we can ask
Yeah, maybe-
Tucker
maybe
to
there
see
is,
if
yeah.
there's a requirement or
he
if
didn't
it's
say
just
anything
tradition.
about it, he didn't say that I.
It's just tradition. I asked them another one.
Yeah, it's just tradition,
Yeah,
so.
well, we can do that.
We're breaking tradition then. Are you okay with that?
It's a big day.
Breaking traditions, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, there he is, right there, yeah.
He's got your back. He's got your
Yeah. Can you do it in the Senate? Can we introduce charter change? Yes.
Yes.
We can, but it's unusual.
I missed
Oh,
it.
you missed it.
It is unusual.
Sounds
We all asked
controversial.
about you, you know.
I did ask them another charter and it was tradition, but not rule.
Okay. Can you look up, say no.
You say no.
Welcome aboard.
Come on up, Tucker.
You're also getting in my job online. A resident.
Good afternoon, Tucker Anderson, Legislative Counsel. Yes, it is tradition, but there's a reason for the tradition that
Ooh.
charter bills start in the House.
Why's that?
House rules, specifically, I believe House Rule 41, exempt charters and municipal mergers from all deadlines, introduction deadlines, or draft request deadlines. So the House has a vehicle for these charter amendments to be introduced after town meeting day.
Exactly.
Where the Senate does not. And typically what happens is that the charters come in after March, they start in the House because of those exemptions. They come over to the Senate, they make a brief stop in Senate rules because usually they miss crossover.
Almost always.
Almost always. And then they get released one at the Chiefs Committee.
Okay. Well, I was just planning on doing this before crossover if we were gonna do it. So, but I hear there's some complications, so we're gonna talk to Tucker about.
They're not a
this.
gold town, so they haven't been given the opportunity to do this. I mean, this would be,
Senator Clarkson just really hit it on that one. That is a great teaser for some of the discussion and the policy choice that is made within this bill. So first I'll tell you what the bill does and maybe familiarize anyone who's uninitiated with the charter process to why charter bills work this way. Section 1 of every charter bill is always going to be what we call a recital. And the recital essentially states in session law that the General Assembly reviewed whatever the charter process was and approves of the charter. In this specific instance, the recital says that you're approving the charter as set forth in this act, And then it contains some somewhat unique language in subsection B, which states that you approve the local option tax that was proposed by the town and authorize the assessment of that tax as was approved by the voters. It states that on March 1st of 2022, the South Hero voters approved the adoption of a local option tax. And then it contains here the language that was presented to voters on the ballot. The question that was presented to voters was, shall the town assess a 1% tax on meals and alcoholic beverages pursuant to Vermont's local option tax statute? It then asked whether the revenues should be dedicated to municipal recreation park facilities. So that's how it was presented to the voters. Section 2 establishes the South Hero Charter as Chapter 148 of Title 24 Appendix. The South Hero Charter would have one section authorizing them to adopt a local option tax pursuant to general law. All charters typically are effective on passage, and this one is too. There's a technical correction that I'll point out in section 2, which is that it should be 24 VSA section 138, not 1 VSA section 138. So if this moves forward, that's something that should be corrected. Question marks. So Senator Clarkson brought it up. There are two avenues for Vermont's municipalities to adopt a local option tax. The first is under the general law, 24 VSA section 138, which allows towns that meet certain financial criteria historically between 1997 and 1999. Those are referred to as the gold towns. Local option taxes were established as an opportunity for those towns to replace revenue that they were losing from their property tax during the shift to the statewide education property tax. South Hero is not one of those towns.
It is so not one of those towns.
So South Hero did not have authority under 24 VSA section 138, to my knowledge, based on the information I received about their qualification under that statute, to adopt a local option tax through a ballot initiative proposed by the select board and approved by the voters. What this bill does is it waves the legislative wand and says, despite the fact that South Hero did not qualify under 24 VSA section 138, they are authorizing the local option tax anyway, and that the General Assembly approves of the assessment of that tax. Why is there a charter provision here? Well, because this is a permanent delegation of authority. So if you're going to do this, it should go in Title 24 Appendix so that everyone in the world will know when they go to the Green Books that South Hero has this power. And they don't have to go to what's known as the Acts and Resolves, which are the white books. And we have a few of them up there, but it looks like maybe the last 8 years. So 8 years from now, not even this committee might have this power on the shelf. The other avenue is the adoption of a charter. That's another way that a town can adopt a local option tax, and that has been a very popular vehicle over the last 6 years that I've been working on charters. There have been quite a few that adopt local option taxes, but the procedures for the adoption of a local option tax through charter are different because it requires compliance with the Charter Amendment Procedure, Title 17.
Are there questions for Tucker? Senator Norris?
Just a quick one, just from my own information, actually. So this just pertains to any businesses that sell meals or whatever else, just says meals and alcoholic beverages?
Wait, there are three tax.
Go ahead, Tucker.
For the purpose of South Hero's vote, yes, it just applied to meals and alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
Under 24 VSA section 138, it could be applied to rooms, meals and alcoholic beverages, or sales.
Upon another vote.
Yes.
Well, they was.
Are there other folks? Senator White?
Thank you, Chair Hardy, and I apologize if the senator spoke about this. They could not tax cannabis, retail cannabis sales with this style of local option tax. Is that true?
That is my understanding, but
I don't know if
We
you
need to
mentioned that.
confirm with the cannabis tax attorneys in the office to
Because I know-
confirm that the local option taxes do not apply to the sales of retail cannabis.
Not yet.
Well, that was gonna be my question.
Senator Bukowski?
So a clarifying point to that, my understanding is that if a general sales local option tax was passed, it would apply to cannabis, but it cannot be siphoned out as only on cannabis. Is that correct?
I will have to confer with the cannabis tax attorneys in the office to find out what happened in the retail cannabis.
It is kind of
statutes.
amazing that we have cannabis tax attorneys in the
Yes,
office.
yes.
That is my understanding. Okay.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
fine.
right.
That's
Senator
fine.
White.
Surprised they didn't.
Senator White, did you have a question or you were just confirming that what?
No, I was just,
Conferring.
Yeah,
I do have a
yeah, go ahead.
question though. So Sudbury does not have a charter
Currently,
currently.
This would be the,
This is their vehicle.
Purpose.
They're going the other route, theoretically. Just wanting to speculate about the precedent that this sets. And I suppose every charter that comes through, like, we have to approve them. It's not given that we would, if we give this to them, that we would just automatically do this for all towns. Though I'm not opposed to that, but I am thinking about other towns that also are not gold towns. It seems, I just want to pose that other towns may be interested in this, because this is, especially if they are tourist destinations, like, there's reason to do this, and so I'm supportive of this, obviously, but I just want to put out to the universe that I would be interested in exploring this generally.
Senator Clarkson.
then you should serve on Finance or Ways and Means. Because actually, one of the problems here is we're nickel and diming. It's a total patchwork of tax, which is not the smartest way to tax. Uniform, consistent measures for taxation. We have allowed a patchwork of taxation as a result of this law, which I think, wearing my old Ways and Means hat, is a mistake. I, like my former chair of Ways and Means, resist more taxation and resist doing it in this patchwork. I live in a town, as does Becca, that has a local option tax, and I think you do too. Do you know? Don't?
We do.
I do, the two of us do. And you do too? Yeah. So it's been very productive in terms of how it's been applied. I think to tie its hands in terms of how it's applied is a mistake on their part, but anyway. But I think that is why it has been resisted. Local option taxes just are kind of one patchwork at a time rather than a consistent. If you're gonna raise the tax, raise it statewide, and then let towns apply 1% of it to whatever they want to do that to. But right
Okay.
now,
So I think, so Tucker and I had a conversation about this, so I was aware of the sort of complexities of the process, which they didn't follow the normal process. And I think Senator Watson's point about how it might set a precedent that is concerning is a good one, and was my thought too. There is also, I understand, a bill, has it come up? It's been introduced in the Senate that would apply it broadly, which is probably hanging on the wall in finance. So I'm gonna have a conversation with the chair of finance and talk to her about this issue and explain what's going on before we take any more time with this bill to just figure out what her thoughts are.
good idea.
Did you want to add something? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got just one quick one.
Yeah.
Where can we find that 99, 97 through 99 Gold Towns listing?
24 VSA section 138, subsection A.
It's right there.
Well, that lists the gold towns in there. No?
Yeah.
No.
Now, there's an informal list of all the qualifying towns that has been put together by, I believe, the Department of Taxes at one point over the last decade. And there's 40 some odd towns that, at least according to those calculations, qualify. and I can send it to you. It's been submitted to a few of the committees.
Yeah, why don't you send it to
all of
Alita,
us.
and she can send it to us, and they also, but there are towns that can adopt a local options tax through a charter change too, so there are towns that have it, even though they aren't one of those gold towns.
Yeah. And
I was
we
just
have done
curious,
that.
yeah.
what constituted a gold town, or who the gold towns were?
Yeah,
It was through Act 60, was it Act 60, 68
Sure.
provision
yeah.
of towns that lost hemorrhage money?
Okay, so I'm gonna talk more before we do this and figure it out, and then if we decide to move forward, we'll talk with the select board and find out what their process is. And
You got it. Sure.
if you guys have any input on it, let me know if you have thoughts, too. I think is that all we had today?
So
Holy cow,
I
we're
know,
done
right?
early.
Wow.
Wow.